Well, welcome to 284 Media. I'm Kamal Haynes, and today we have a very special interview from a resident of Anegada who came all the way over here, basically on a very troubling situation. But before we get to any of that information, he is Mr. Darvin Potter, and we'll basically, after this commercial break, just give you the full details of his story and what you need to hear.
Yo, everything good, Dad?
Why? This thing got me one way, Daddy.
What you mean?
Ever since I hook up with this thing, can't eat, I can't sleep. This is the first thing I touch it when I reach home.
What you really? Hey, this ain't like you, know.
Dad, this thing got me staying home, keeping out that trouble me.
Wow. What your name is?
Shit, I talking about my CCT life.
Don't worry about missing your favorite series, sports, news, and local programming. Come to CCT today and sign up for CCT Live to access over 80 channels. CCT Live. Bring it home.
1 month free trial turn into 5. 5 months turn into, well, you know I huff. I watching ball. I been watching football. Dad, Nickelodeon, Paw Patrol. I am hooked. Hook, I tell you.
Well, welcome back, viewers. As I said before, I have with us Mr. Darvin Potter. He's from Anegada. And today we have a very special story, a very troubling story, I should add, of a situation Mr. Potter and his wife had to go through last Friday. As speaking with him, he did tell me that the issue has since been rectified. But the issue is one of having an emergency ambulance basically not being readily available at the time of an incident on Friday, which his wife, Mrs. Evelyn Potter, would have unfortunately suffered a stroke and had to wait hours before Mr. Potter had to take matters into his own hands and basically fund his way to Tortola to seek medical treatment for his wife, who's today still presently in hospital at the Dr. D. Orlando Smith Hospital. But speaking to Mr. Potter, he did tell me that afterwards government would have rectified the situation. Just want to add that. But first, the whole situation, the fact that it happened in the first place is an issue in itself, and we don't know who else may have been experiencing similar situations. I've been told that there have been other persons on Anegada who has also been experiencing similar situations in terms of seeking that medical attention and that flight, basically that medical evacuation to Tortola, and they themselves also too were part of the bigger issue, and that's why we decided to go ahead with the interview, despite government stepping in afterwards and dealing with the situation. But still, we wanted to hear we wanted to hear directly from the mouth of Mr. Potter, who himself would have experienced this unfortunate situation last Friday. So, Mr. Potter, welcome to 284 Media. Thank you for having us. I want to really appreciate the time you're going to spend with us. I do know your wife is presently at the hospital. You were actually on your way back to the hospital just now, and you came here just to allow the people to know what you would have experienced. So, firstly, welcome, Mr. Potter. And first, just speak about the situation that happened last Friday.
Thank you very much. This situation isn't something that came about in recent years. Anegada being the farthest away from Tortola, where is the hub of the medical center. And it's seemingly that this problem had no reason to be with us at this moment. The reason being, we have graduated to a situation where we have all these trust companies pouring so much money into the coffers of the BVI. It is only reasonable to assume that this present situation with getting medical attention for people who have suffered need medical attention, we should have had this thing rectified many, many years ago. It haven't been, and the present government is the one now who has solved the problem. I am looking forward that those people who will be coming behind my family in a similar situation, they wouldn't have the anxiety that we had according to this present situation at the time.
So just speak to the viewers and let them know about what happened on Friday. Walk us back through what happened on Friday so that we can get a detailed, feeling of what you were experiencing as well, along with the situation of your wife as well.
Okay, the situation is that on Friday past, well, it went into Thursday night. That was the beginning of it. And I noticed that she wasn't herself. She was not coherent. She couldn't express what was going on with her, so we had to wait until the morning. After the morning, about after 6, we tried to get in touch with the clinic. And we took her to the clinic. Her grandson-in-law, who lives with us, he drove us to the clinic. And we tried now, we told the representatives there of the clinic what was the situation, and they took over from there and tried to get an evacuation either by plane or helicopter. I was never going to agree in her condition to take her out by a ferry. For that same day, the ferry was there. Well, I don't think it would have been a wise move to make. Well, this being the case, they found out that they couldn't get a plane from BVI. They went to St. Thomas. They connected with a helicopter company down there. And this helicopter company wanted $3,000 up front before they lift off the ground down there. I can't blame them. They couldn't come willy-nilly to Anegada and pick up a patient, bring them to Totola, and then you find out you have trouble getting your money. So they say, $3,000 up front. We didn't have that type of money. So, after I made that declaration, I don't have the money. Then the government representatives from one to another, they discussed the situation, and they got in touch with this company that I'm speaking about, the helicopter company. So it is now the money. The money got to be guaranteed before they lift off from St. Thomas. And as the narrative unfolds, the money was guaranteed, and therefore the helicopter came.
Before we continue, who guaranteed the money for that particular situation?
I didn't know at the time, but after we came here to Totola, I was made aware because I was inquiring who is now responsible for the money that was paid to the helicopter company. And I was informed that the government took care of everything. And that as of now, there is a formula in place to service all the outer islands, Anegada, Virgin Gorda, and Jost Van Dyke, if something like this had to take place again. And I want to emphasize here, it had no right to come to this juncture, seeing that the BVI had all this kind of money to knock about. To buy airplanes and give the money to the boys in the hood, and you can't recover your money and you can't get back the planes. We could only sit and watch them sold for the second time on their way to Australia. I don't have any friends in this department of government leadership that I have to sit by them and sing Kumbaya for the good work they have done. I am particularly making reference to the, I even forget the acronym for the government that replaced this present one. And it's a shame, my God, and I am not going to give them any rest for their feet because they have done us wrong. We had a senior program on Anegada, they scrap it.
But before we get to all of that, I don't want to lose focus on we talked
No,
about what happened
no.
on Friday,
And
then we'll get to that afterwards. But I just want the people to know what happened on Friday. So you were able to finally get through to having that helicopter. But how long did it take in between? You did say you started at 6 o'clock in the morning. What time did you finally get that approval?
My God, that was the very disgusting part. We didn't get down here till after 3 in the afternoon.
Wow.
And she was there at the clinic in Anegada all this time, and along with her, we are suffering, wanting to know when we are going to get her. Is she going to die here? And this was the condition that we had to be living under. So the point that I was making, connecting the former government to this fiasco, they are both intertwined.
All right. So, but I do understand your point. You're basically stating that the former NDP government would have had some sort of a responsibility prior that they would have somewhat neglected.
They had all the money in the world to put this same operation in place.
Okay. So let us I know you did say that it's interlinked, but I don't want the viewers to lose track of the purpose of the interview.
I'm laser focused.
Right. So what I want you to do too, because you were just speaking about it. So you said I'm just recollecting based off what you did said to me just now. You were saying basically, you from Thursday night there was a situation where you realized that your wife was not as responsive as she normally is. You would have 6 o'clock the following morning. You would have reached out to the clinic on Anegada to seek medical assistance. After a few back and forths in terms of them trying to reach out to various companies to arrange a flight. You were finally able to get that after 3 o'clock in the afternoon to get that flight from Anegada via helicopter to Tortola.
Yes.
So I just want you to just speak about what would have been taking place during that period of time. in terms of what your wife was experiencing, you know, what the anxiety you would have probably been experiencing yourself as well too, having to wait from 6 to 3 in the afternoon just to get that security in terms of being able to have a flight to dispatch your wife to medical treatment.
Okay, I do understand. Well, as touching her, she was in a position where she was not able to process what was going on, but for apparently she had a stroke and she was incoherent. She couldn't understand what you say to her, and neither could she express herself to tell you how I'm feeling. So the trouble was with the people who, her family, and she don't have much family there, but her family and friends were the one who was suffering, seeing that we have been here all these hours and nothing is happening. So that is about the whole package, which takes you back to the government prior to this one. It's one package, it can't be dissected.
And in terms of now, you would have finally gotten the flight. She would have been to the Dr. Deanna Smith Hospital. How long did it take basically for her to get the treatment? I'm sure once she was here, it would have been a smooth process. And also I want you to speak on her current situation, her current health situation. Is she in a better condition right now as well?
Oh yes, as of yesterday, day before, this was Friday she came, Saturday I visited her, and I found out that she was much improved. And I don't want to leave God out of this picture because He is the one that I am thanking for our present situation. He made the way. And I asked Him for miracles, and He gave us miracles. So, Sunday when I visited her, I had my bag with me that I had my written material in, and I was reading a letter. And she said, "What is that you got there?" I say, "A letter, you want to read it?" I hand her the letter. She began to read it out loud. And she said, "Here is where you should have put a full stop." And when she continued, "And here you should have put a comma." So I know now that her faculties were all back and that they were functioning well. And I thank God, first of all, and I thank our present government for having moved so quickly to get this situation rectified, that if we have a repeat in the near future, that the anxiety that I had to go through, they won't have to go through it.
And of your recollection, I know you're Anegada resident. To your knowledge, are there any other families that would have had to go through similar situations of seeking that medical attention that you are well aware of, or as of recent?
Yeah, but I don't want to speak about it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want you to speak about the situation. Just want to know if, to your knowledge, if you are aware of other people experiencing that situation.
It is happening in intervals. I am amazed that certain situations that happen on Anegada, that the people, it would have to be an emergency that they can't handle before they seek this sort of attention. But if there's something that could be done in-house, that is, without going to the clinic, we do it. We were accustomed to this, and You will be amazed to know that in former years, we didn't have a ferry, we didn't have a airplane, we didn't have a helicopter. We had to move our sick people in the belly of a fishing boat, a wind-jamming fishing boat without engines. And would I change it? No, we had nothing better in those days, and we made the best of what we had. And this being the case, if you would permit me to say something, we endure all those days, those circumstances. And now, we, as it were, kept everything alive. And we brought the British Virgin Islands to a place where we have been able to send our young people. After finishing high school, we send them to other jurisdictions, to universities, and they came back. They took over the reins of leadership. And I hope you don't ask me to stop. They took over the reins of leadership. We gave them the bank vault, so to speak, and the keys to the bank vault. And we put them to stand on our shoulders to reach the brass ring. And they reached it, and what have they done? They disrespected us. They played a fool with the power that they had. I am speaking now particularly on behalf of Anegada. The best of them, they have the 1961 Anegada Ordinance and what they did with it. They chose the path that they want and they act on that, and they, for 60 years, they've been kicking Anegada around. And we got nobody to speak on our behalf. I'm going to leave certain things out. I've been fighting against these iniquities for many, many years, 60 years plus. And I'm not going to give up because the end is in sight. And you know who's going to take us to the finish line? This present government. Because God showed me that He chose 2 men there. The others, I don't know them. He chose 2 men, the Premier, Andrew Foy, and Calvin Malone. Some people, they don't understand. And they have their disagreements as to how things should go. But believe me, one of the architects that took us so low below the bottom that we had to look up to see the bottom, he's always bellyaching up whatever the government do. His name is...
You don't have to call any names. Don't.
Okay. His name, his position is head of Her Majesty's Opposition. And I marvel that his constituents, my God, they won't bring him short. Why? What are you fussing about? and you were sitting there in the same position for 8 years, you did nothing, my temperature is rising. It is so disgusting and insulting. You did nothing. You destroy every platform that could have helped the people of the British Virgin Islands, and now you're making fuss. Okay, that is understood. The people of the British Virgin Islands, we are one people. We are not separate. Since this is the case, why is Anegada being treated as an adopted child? I put this question out there to all the leaders. And Totola got government land. Virgin Gorda got government land. And Anegada don't have any government land because the 1961 ordinance, page 3, paragraph 12 states, I could give you a copy before I go. All unallotted lands is held in trust for the people of Anegada to be ministered on their behalf. This is pretty plain. How could you mistake that? But every government from Lavetta Stout came down the chain. They saying Anegada belongs to the crown. And I've been fighting it until this present moment. And I'm not going to die. I'm 93 years, and I'm not going to die because this is my assignment. I am going to see Anegada put in an ordinance where interlopers ain't going to be able to say, I have the authority to give this away like they're doing now, going back to government land. Why are they not giving away government land on Totola and Virgin Gorda like they're doing on Anegada, as though it was Halloween candy?
So now we fast forward to the other situation on Anegada. You're talking about the land issue. We would have heard the Minister for Natural Resources, Labour and Immigration, Vincent Wheatley, who's also responsible for Anegada, basically stating that there are plans to establish a body to deal with the land situation on Anegada. Could you just speak from that perspective in terms of, since that announcement was made, do you see any stuff being done right now? Because you did say that under this government is where you would see, where you believe the end road of that long battle would cease, basically. So do you see any progress being made to resolve the land situation to date over there in Anegada?
There is some progress being made. But from where I sit, it is, how I must put it, it is not being handled. If you want clear water, you have to go to the source of the fountain. If you go midstream, you are going to take up all the refuse that float downstream. You get my drift? This present situation now, it hadn't begun from the head. That is the committee that is set up. The people on this committee, they don't know all the circumstances involved, so they can't, from a standpoint of wisdom, they can't deal with it. They don't have all the information. And the responsibility rests with the representative of the 9th district. It rests with him. Because all that happened before him, he got to deal with it now. He got to rectify the inequities, and you can add to the trouble and the mistakes of your predecessors, you cannot add to that and figure on that things going to work out. And believe me, you must have found out by now that I am not going to bite my tongue, and I'm not going to buddy with the enemy. If you are not my friend, you are my enemy. And I regard you as an enemy. And as such, I am willing to come to the table with you, but don't figure on that I'm an idiot and because you went to college and I didn't go to college, that you got more sense than I do. I am amazed that somebody who went to college could be so stupid in doing things that our former government leaders have done. And I discussed some of them before you. You're going to the hood to represent you in a purchase of $7.2 million. I would have given an extra $100,000 to a firm to deliver those planes to the BVI. We got who represent us in this. Remember, it is our money. And it doesn't matter. I could care less who is insulted or feel like I have no right to interfere in this avenue. It's my money too.
Yeah, it's taxpayers' money. But before we get carried away and delve into that, that's another matter we can address on another topic. I wonder, you did touch on something just when it comes to the land issue in Tortola. on Anegada. You did say that the committee, in your opinion, the committee doesn't have the wisdom to deal with the issue.
Not my opinion. It is clear and evident.
So what would you recommend be the solution, therefore, to move forward in terms of having persons on the committee that will be better, in your opinion, better able to manage the current situation? What do you think government needs to do to move forward?
A committee can't rectify what needs to be rectified. It must have a new ordinance that put parameters that no leader in the future can touch it. Of course, it is spelled out in the present ordinance. Oh, by the way, you are not aware of this, that Anegada is the only island now is being governed by 4 pieces of paper, and I'm going to name them. The 1961 ordinance, the 1978 Ordinance 1 and 2, which was done by Renwick for the Ralph O'Neill government, and then we had it is in the vicinity of the 70s, the repeal by Willard Wheatley government when he was chief minister. And we are governed, there are 4 legal pieces of papers. But you may ask, but the Willard Wheatley government repealed in 1961. Repealed? Well, why are they using it now? It is still in use. So it is among the 4 legal pieces of paper, and we don't want that. Anegada is the only place that is being governed by these 4 pieces of paper, and that is a disgrace. So I am pushing to get an ordinance in place again. and do away with these other 3 pieces of paper. We don't need them. It's a disgrace, it's a disadvantage.
So in other words, just to sum up, basically you're stating that to move forward in terms of solving the current issue when it comes to land issue on Anegada, the way forward is basically for government to create a new ordinance, rid of the 1961 ordinance, and put measures in place, basically legislation in place that would prevent any government going forward from changing those particular rules that protect the people of Anegada.
Yes, but not the government. The people of Anegada make their own ordinance based on the model of the 1961. That is what I am in the process of doing together with others. This is not a one-man show. And I have it all written, and it is typed. I got it right there, but I'm not ready to let you read it yet.
That's understandable.
Okay. It have to be, this is the first writing. So it has been studied, and there are a certain few changes that have to be made and a few additions before the final product.
So my question, this one that you have written, have anybody from government been able to view it? For example, the Honorable Vincent Wheatley, who's responsible for Anegada in the 9th District, has he been able to view it as well? Has any member been able to view it?
Not yet.
Okay. So will you be bringing it to the table for them to view as well?
Oh yes, they're gonna have to deal with it. There are certain things, that I don't like to reveal too early because then people can waylay you and booby trap your part and put stumbling blocks. So there are certain things in that I don't want to discuss at this moment.
Okay, totally understandable. So this is all the time we really have for today's. There's a lot of information you would have relayed. I know initially we came to speak about the airlift emergency situation you would have experienced on Friday. Just to sum it up for the viewers, you said initially, there was a situation where the incident happened from Thursday night on Friday morning at 6. You went to the medical facility on Anegada, the clinic. From 6 in the morning, you were only able to get through after 3. However, after they would have sourced the requisite transportation to Tortola, you did say government guaranteed the money and put the money up front and took care of that financial responsibility, which would have allowed your wife, Mrs. Evelyn Potter, to be able to be transported to the hospital. Then you did say that she did seek the medical treatment on Sunday. You went to the hospital and she was able to correct your grammar when it came to your writing. So you know that she's back somewhat to where she was before.
Very much so.
And today is we did say that you are going back to visit her as well. So how soon before she's released from the hospital?
I was told by the attending physician yesterday that they're going to release her on Friday. But I want to say concerning the whole episode of what happened and how we got here to the medical facility, that as of now, I am pleased with the way the present government has taken the bull by the horns and put us in a position where people coming behind us won't have to jump through these hoops again that we had to do last week, Friday.
Great, and that's actually good news because basically you would have played a huge role in that model being set. Because I know prior government did say that they were planning to address the air ambulance issue on Virgin Gorda and Anegada, and now because of your situation, now a more recent model is in place that any person hopefully that experienced such will be able to basically follow through that same model and be able to hopefully be able to be started at a much sooner rate, a much sooner pace than you would have experienced, because you did say from 6 to 3 in the afternoon, 6 in the morning to 3 in the afternoon is a very long period. And hopefully, I guess you would keep me updated if you hear anyone else going through that experience. But before we go to, I also wanted to summarize the situation of the land issue on Anegada as well. You did say, you're basically putting things in place to establish a new ordinance from the 1961, one that you, the people of Anegada, will be able to bring and have a discussion, hopefully with the government, and have that enacted going forward to resolve the issue. You touched on the commission that was formed on Anegada to basically help deal with the land issue. You did say that in your opinion, the commission that was formed doesn't have the wisdom readily available to be able to tackle the issue. And as you said, the only way that you, in your opinion, that this issue could be tackled is by a new ordinance.
A new ordinance.
A new ordinance. So just I wanted to summarize that for the viewers, basically to give them a summary of what we was discussing, and basically what we will do going forward. We will have you again on the show, or basically to basically speak. Hopefully next time I'll be on Anegada to interview you there at your place of abode, basically.
Okay, I'm glad that you give me that opportunity. I want to first deal with the Anegada committee that was recently instituted. Mm-hmm. This is it is no stain on them when I say that they don't have all the information that they need. And then it is a set of young people who don't know anything. Now that I challenge anybody to take me up on it, they don't know anything.
Mm-hmm. And when you say they don't know anything, you're referring to they don't know anything.
They don't know the history.
Okay.
They don't know the Anegada ordinance. Mm-hmm. So, as touching Anegada itself now, over the years from the 60s, government's been giving out land to investors. We don't know who. We don't know how much land was leased. We don't know the home, and we don't know the area. Mm-hmm. And this has got to be rectified. And it's going to be rectified through a new ordinance. Mm-hmm. And I hope to God that everybody is listening, because the rubber meets the road now. Mm-hmm. And the juggernaut going forward. And whoever in the way, you're going to get mowed down, move aside. And the juggernaut is RIGHT. What is right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
And whoever playing the fool, putting roadblocks, this juggernaut, he could jump obstacles. 60 years we've been robbed of our land, but I would like to speak to that on another interview.
Yes, greatly. So I want to thank you, Mr. Potter, for your time. I really appreciate it. Any final words you would like to leave for the viewers?
Yes, I would like to thank this present government, and especially Calvin Malone, who is the Minister for Health.
Mm-hmm. Social Development, yeah.
And Welfare, that he was able to move to get this situation rectified to the extent that other families won't have to go through the suffering that I have had to go through. Mm-hmm. And believe me, I don't envy his position. Mm-hmm. I don't know how he don't go crazy. Mm-hmm. He has a full slate. I don't want it.
Okay. Well, I want to thank you, Mr. Potter. On behalf of 284 Media, I want to wish your wife, Mrs. Evelyn, a speedy recovery.
Thank you.
I hope that you guys, head back to Anegada on Friday in good spirits, basically.
Thank you.
And that everything goes smooth for you guys. Well, on behalf of 284 Media, I'm Kamal Haynes. Thank you for joining us, viewers. I hope you basically enjoyed what we would have discussed. We have more to come on situations of Anegada going forward. Don't forget to tune into 284media.com, tune into our Facebook page, our Instagram, etc. I'm Kamal Haynes on behalf of 284 Media. Until next time, bye-bye.